Welcome to the T-Squared Dad's Brown Bag Podcast. Here's your hosts, Kyle Baker and Dieter Burrell.
Okay. Mindy, Carminda, tell me your name exactly, Mindy.
It's Carminda Day, but everyone knows me as Mindy, so I've been going by Mindy my whole life. I actually tried to start going by Carminda a couple years back, and it didn't stick. So
It didn't stay. I know you
no,
by Mindy since forever. So
yep,
thank you for coming to our podcast. And I wanted to bring you in so that my listeners had a background, because everybody has a different background as to how they got into their profession. And I wanted to kind of have you in my podcast or in our podcast, so that everyone can kind of listen to how each person has their story, how much different it is, and how they can relate to each one of you guys that come onto the podcast. Now, Mindy, you work for an engineering company and you got licensed. Is that correct?
correct, yeah.
Okay.
And yeah, I'll give you my background. So I actually started going to the University of Florida in Gainesville for architecture. Um, And after 2 years, they have what they call pinup, and they only pick a certain number of people to go on. Well, I was not chosen. So then I was kind of lost and was like, what am I going to do? Well, I've always done drafting, computer aided drafting. I took computer aided drafting in high school, and then had, of course, a couple classes during my architecture agenda. So after I didn't make the pinup, I was like, okay, I guess I'm just going to go into drafting. So I went and got my degree in both architectural and mechanical drafting and design. So I have two design degrees, drafting and design degrees. And that's kind of where I started. So after I got those degrees, I, of course, put in applications to both engineering and architecture firms. And engineering firms were the first ones to call me back. So that's how I got into the engineering field. Started out as a drafter and did that for a long time. And then I guess it was about 7 or 8 years ago, after my kids were old enough, they didn't really need me as much. I decided I'm going to go back to school for engineering. So then I decided to go to the University of Alabama because they have actually an online mechanical engineering program.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm. And I only had to go to Tuscaloosa for labs. So, every semester I had to go up there 2 or 3 times. And where I work, Schmidt Consulting, they were willing to work with me and let me off. It was random times, Wednesday or Thursday in the middle of the week, to go up there and do my labs and um, get that handled. So that took, of course, I already had from previous degrees, I already had the Associate of Arts degree as well. So I had all the math, English, and all that, the basics. So theoretically, it should have only took me 2 years to finish the engineering degree. But again, I was working full time, so I kind of did it 2 or 3 classes a semester. So that took me 4 years
Wow,
to
yeah.
find, yeah, to finally get my engineering degree. And I did that again while working full time at Schmidt. And then, yeah, December 2019 is when I graduated.
Oh,
And
wow.
yeah, so super, super
That's
excited to
awesome.
finally be an engineer after all that time.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
But not
And
only that,
then
but were you
since at the
working? You were working and taking care of the kids and everything else, and school and everything, or were you
yeah,
not?
oh yeah, I was busy.
Okay.
I didn't know what to do with myself after I was done with school because I was so busy coming home every night doing lectures and homework and math every single night of my life for 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of funny, yeah, whenever that was done and I came home after work, I was like, I don't even know what to do with myself. I have all this free time.
Wow. And you
Yeah.
got and so then you got your degree, and then you kind of kept working and got your license. When did you get your license?
Yeah, so I got my first license actually through Maryland because at that point I had 10 years of experience, right?
Okay.
And there's a couple of states, Maryland, Colorado. There's two or three states that'll let you get your license based on years of experience, no matter when you graduated.
Hmm.
Um, Basically, like Florida, you have to have 3 years post-graduation experience before you can get your license. Maryland, they'll count you years prior to your graduation date as experience. So I went and passed the fundamental of engineering test. I
Hmm.
took that, passed it, and then waited a few months later, took the professional engineering test, passed that, and then immediately applied for the Maryland license. Again, we do a lot of DoD work, so with the DoD, they don't care where your license is. You can sign and seal with any state license.
Right.
So that was helpful for what we do. Um, And then I had to wait till, yeah, 3 years. So I think it was last December when I could finally get my Florida license. So I just got my Florida license December of last year.
It, to get the license, did you go through like a reciprocity or testing?
Yeah, testing. Well, I got the Florida license through reciprocity
Okay.
after I still had to meet the 3 year post graduation
Okay.
requirement. So, but at that point, I already had my Maryland license and obviously passed the exams. So all of that is what led me to getting finally my Florida license.
I gotcha. To sympathize with you because I went through community college to the state of, to the University of Florida, and I did pinup, and I remember hearing about people going the first 2 years and then having to do pinup, and then they filter out people to go to the third and fourth year,
Yep.
and as coming in from a community college, we had to do pinup similar. We had to meet certain GPAs and certain class criterias, and they only had a certain slot of people that they would only let in every year from like community colleges. So, and
Hmm.
I didn't get into first year, and I went back to Miami because I'm from Miami, and I spent a year, I guess, at the University of Miami, and then redid the pinup, and then was accepted. And of course, I had to rush through and get some physics and calculus classes and pass those in the summer. And then I was able to go in.
Oh, wow.
So, so I know how crazy it can be. The certain universities and their requirements to go to the next level. But in all honesty, I think it probably worked for you now. Talking, retrospective, I'm thinking for you it probably worked better to have gone into engineering because I think engineering pays a lot more than
Yeah, I
architecture.
think. Well, that and you guys have to work the long hours and pull everything together after we give you the stuff. So yeah, I
Yeah,
can I can go home at 5 most of the time. So I think
ain't
it
that
worked
the
out the way it's supposed to.
now, when you went to Alabama, and I know it was probably just like maybe like was it lab like weekend events, or was it like a week event or something like that? That you had to go there.
It was well, both. It was mostly
Okay,
weekends, but there were a few labs that were during the week.
I got you. I got you.
Yeah.
Did you get the experience? Did you get to know up anybody in Alabama from other areas where they were doing the same kind of
I
courses?
did. And there were people of all ages actually going back. Since it was an online course, there were people in their 20s all the way up to their 60s going back for their engineering degree. So it's
Wow.
pretty interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, I bet it was interesting because I get people when they ask me in architecture, they ask me, "Hey, is there any way to kind of get licensed without having gone to school?" And there's certain states, and those states are closing. I know NCARB and a lot of the national entities, they're trying to close those windows. They don't want people to have like a 10, 15 year experience with high school degree or something like that, and then
Mm.
become professionals. Uh, It, I think it's all money driven, but I think you know the education is important. but I think the experience is extremely valuable. I think
Absolutely. I mean, the experience, you know, school doesn't teach you obviously what you need to know to do your job. You learn from experience. So it doesn't and sometimes I think it doesn't make sense to only have 3 years experience, you know, 3 or 4 years experience where they're like, okay, you're ready to take your test. Really, you know, you're still learning every day. You know, I've been in it 15 years. I'm still learning every day. So
yeah, yeah, same,
experience
same.
is, I would agree, more important almost than education.
Yes, same here. And so you're a native Pensacolian, right?
Yes.
You are. Okay. All right.
Yep.
Um, but that makes a lot of sense. I've been meeting some folks that are not originally from Pensacola, but have come here through other family members. Uh, if you had a chance to listen to that Curtis podcast, his wife she had family here, so they came to Pensacola, but he was already connected here because of his previous employer, not and so I'm not originally from Pensacola, but my wife, her dad came here because of the Navy, and they the kids were born, and her and her brother, I mean, were raised here in Pensacola. So when I met her, I kind of migrated to this area, and I guess I've been here also a very long time.
Yeah. How
um,
long have you been in Pensacola, you and your wife?
she's been here her entire life, and I've been here almost a little over 23 years, maybe 22 years, maybe 21, maybe 21
Okay.
years. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's
You
been,
can almost call yourself a local.
yeah. I've seen, I remember when we used to go down to Seville quarters, and it was like, just stay on these two roads. Don't go beyond those two roads, because, you never know, you could get mugged.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Now
Yep.
it's a lot safer. So I mean, if anybody is out there listening, it's like Pensacola has grown and is still growing. According to Curtis, he says that I think he's been involved in some city planning or something or other to that effect, where there's so
Mm.
much money coming into Pensacola in the next 10 years. They're looking at like $6 billion worth of construction that's maybe occurring here in this area. So
Wow.
it's crazy growth. A lot of people are investing in. Statistically, this is a known fact that I came across. That I think I remember saying 1,200 or 1,400 people move to Florida every day.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
That's crazy. I feel like they're all moving to Santa Rosa and Escambia County,
A
all of
lot.
those people. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot. Is that where you live in Santa Rosa?
Yeah, I live in Milton.
Okay.
And
Okay.
you know, I live out by Whiting Field. It's farm country.
Yeah.
And even on my road, we've had since I've lived out here because I lived in Navarre for a while
Mhm.
and I've only been out here for 3 years. So in farm country in Milton for 3 years, I've already seen like 15 houses down my road get built in the middle of
Wow.
nowhere.
Oh
So
my gosh.
it's crazy. Yeah.
So your specialty in engineering is what, mechanical and plumbing, or?
Mechanical. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
HVAC and plumbing.
HVAC and plumbing, and and this is more from what I just heard just recently. You guys are moving.
We are. Yeah, we're moving today, yesterday, this week. And yeah, we're relocating to the Levin Papitanio building. It's a 5-story building. On our new address is 316 South Bayland Street.
Oh, it'll
We'll
be
be on
right
the
down
third
there.
floor.
Yeah,
Yeah.
go do some light shopping downtown, and enjoy the restaurants.
Yeah, and I can walk to lunch now. I don't have to get in my car. That's going to be nice.
That'll be awesome. That'll be awesome. Yeah, I know that I was talking to Kyle Baker. He's an architect, and we're trying to do this podcast together. But I'm taking over just so that, because he's been super swamped with work, and
Mm.
he's trying to. I know he works downtown, and so he's got all those shops, and I remember when I used to work downtown too, and it wasn't a walking distance. You guys are gonna have like a walking distance to everything,
Yeah.
um, you know. We used a couple of scooters to scoot around. You guys got scooters too. I just remembered.
Yeah, we did. Well, we used to have scooters. Gene used to have a couple
Oh,
scooters that we would all use in the office.
yeah.
Um, Someone hurt themselves, and then all the scooters magically went away. So,
Oh no.
yeah, I won't say who and how, but they hurt themselves pretty good.
Oh, that's
So,
funny.
but now downtown has scooters you can rent.
They
So,
do. They got so many. What is it? They say they have an area where you can't scoot, and I think that's Palafox.
yeah, I
Um,
think
it,
so. But
I
I
tried.
still saw people doing it.
Well, I tried using one of them, and it kept shutting off, and I kept pushing, and I go, why isn't it letting me go down the sidewalk on Palafox? Um, and once I came off of Palafox, it turned back on, like the power.
Oh,
So it's like some maybe GPS thing that it's got,
yeah,
and they have its own. So it's kind of funny that they do have that. But
that's funny.
well, thank you for joining me. This one's going to be a short one. Thank you for joining me, and Mindy with Schmidt Consult. Is it has it been announced? Schmidt Consulting,
Yet
uh,
now iMeg. Yep,
iMeg. Okay.
officially iMeg now.
I Meg.
Correct.
Yes. Oh man, that's exciting. And everybody kind of sometimes when you're an employee, you worry about it's like, oh man, are things going to change? And then the people that are coming in is like, well, are people best suited to work with this
Yeah,
entity? It's just I've seen so many different things like that. But super duper,
yeah,
I'm super excited for you, and thank you for being a part of this little podcast. And I hope people can kind of get an idea of path. Everybody has a different path into the AE field, and your story tells some of the listeners is like, hey, there is more than one way to get there, and sometimes it just takes a little longer than others. But it's like
absolutely.
that's
Yep.
your goal. You got to hit that goal and keep going for it. Well, thank you,
And
Mindy.
if you want it, and you have a full-time job, you can still get it done. Takes a lot of work, but it's
Yeah.
totally worth it.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you, Mindy, again for being part of the podcast. And if you guys are out there, and don't forget to subscribe, and we'll be uploading another podcast real soon. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the T Squared Dad's Brown Bag Podcast. Please subscribe on your favorite platform, and we will talk to you next time.